All right. Good afternoon, brother. How's it going?
Pretty good. It's all right. We had a good meal today, so I feel better. And
We always feel better after a good meal, right? So.
oh yeah, yeah, very good.
Our local community where we live is similar to a 5-minute city concept, as most amenities are within 1 mile of us.
I heard that up in our area where they're going to try to help out build sort of a mini 15-minute city concept of where we live. We're sort of outside the city. Well, we kind of live in a neat area. I mean, we're in an area where you might, what did you call it, the 5-minute city or something like
I
that?
think it's like a 5-minute city here, except for the public transportation. But everything else, pretty much everything else, is a 5-minute city where we live right here.
Yeah, you can walk to just about anything.
Yeah.
If you're brave, you can even walk to the hospital, which is about 15 minutes, maybe about 15 minutes away if you walk fast.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they have urgent care is not too far down the street
That's
from
true
us
too,
too.
yeah,
They just
that's
have to
right.
walk to those like a half a mile or something.
Yeah, the urgent care.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways,
Those
sorry.
clinics and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, no, that's true. They have a lot of that. Some of the you could get great a variety of food here, from fast food up to some of the best restaurants. And people go way up here to some of these restaurants that are in this area as well. And then we got the healthy food stores, and also just regular grocery stores too. So
I was saying there's 5 grocery stores within a mile from where we live.
yeah, it's good.
That's very rare, and those 3 of those are really healthy grocery stores that are probably some of the best in the whole country. If you were to find those grocery chains, those would be the best in the United States. And there's 3 of them within a mile of us.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's good. I used to walk. I still walk up to the one that's close by us. But I walked my dog up there one time, and it was kind of a bad idea. 'Cause I had to do what to do with the dog after that. So I had to, anyway, but
yeah.
So, but when one thing we don't have here, though, have you ever noticed in this area? They used to have a lot of them, but there's no gas stations.
Oh, we used to have 3 gas stations actually,
Right there on the
very
corner,
close
yeah.
to us, and they got rid of all of them.
Which is
Yeah.
actually, when you think about the 5-minute city concept or the 15-minute city concept, you wouldn't want gas stations around here because the whole concept is people don't need, if they're going outside this zone, then they fill up, which we would do. We would drive outside of it, to go get gas. I think the nearest gas station is a few miles away. So, so anyway, that's actually, what you would think you would see in a 15-minute zone anyway, is very few, if any, gas stations, right? So.
Well, they have very good bike lanes here, though. We have 2 major roads going, north and south and east and west, and they both have really good bike lanes. I mean, just really wide bike lanes. So we're very fortunate to have that here in our area too.
That's good. Very good.
If everything is planned right, the 15-minute city concept could work in rural areas like what could be done in central Arizona.
So what do you think about as far as setting up these communities or these 15-minute cities, or I think it'd be more 15-minute cities in the rural areas?
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good question. So going back to Ruston and Herndon area, those were rural areas back in the 80s and 90s. Okay, they're way outside of DC. Now they're basically part of DC. I mean, the city has sprawled out to encompass Ruston. Okay, so and other areas, and so what they did is they said, okay, we're going to do this to where it's going to be a great community to live. So they did it right there. I think they planned it really, really well. So my point being that if you plan it well, as you create these 15-minute cities outside the big cities, because you're going to need to do that in these pockets everywhere around outside, so that people can sort of stay there 90% of the time, except for maybe we need to go into the big city for whatever reason, and then they can use some well-established public transportation that we need to do more of. So
I wanted to bring up something where you're talking about, because in the earlier video I talked about where I had to go to Maricopa like once a week to work at the farm, the university farm there. On the way I would drive up through a city called Casa Grande. It's not that big. And when I first started doing it, I noticed there was a company that was making electric cars. I think their name is Lucid. And anyways, they only start off with a couple buildings. But towards the end of when I was getting my degree and I was going up there, still going to the farm, their manufacturing facility went for like a quarter mile to half mile. It was huge because you have thousands of workers working there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you might find some people, but I don't know. You might need to get people from other areas. At that point, they might want to move to that area around where they're working. So for such a huge company and stuff,
Yeah.
So at that point, I think they should do. And I think you were bringing this up to do like a 15-minute city concept, with transportation and housing and grocery stores, all those all
And
the amenities
recreation
stuff.
too.
Yeah, recreation.
And
all that
indoor and
stuff.
outdoor. Because see, if you make it attractive to live there, then people will go there. And that's what Reston was designed to do, was an attractive place for people that people really wanted to live. So if you just like stick a business out there and go, we'll throw some housing up, that's really not the 15-minute town concept or the town center concept. That's just, okay, some people might want to live there close to work, but there's really nothing else around there, right? So that's not a good way to do it. So you have to really develop some plans and infrastructure and put some money into the infrastructure and transportation and the micro transportation, if you would, but also give incentives to businesses so that they establish grocery stores and department stores and restaurants and
Gyms.
gyms and all those, hospitals, all those kind of things that you want. So you say, hey, we'll give you a tax break, we'll do this, we'll do that. That's what the towns need to think about doing.
Having local agriculture will be essential for the 15-minute cities, especially since our farmland resources are having some issues.
No, I really think we should try to develop these local agriculture in these cities. And that's whether you want to grow it on your own property or you want to do it as a community effort. I guess there's kind of several options to that. There's like community greenhouses like you were talking about where they grow their vegetables and maybe a few people manage it or people kind of come in there and they all work together.
Yeah.
So things like that. And then even in the urban cities, like a lot of these, apartment buildings or town centers that housing where it's kind of like high rises, they'll have on the top floor, they'll be able to grow gardens. So you go to that top roof and there's a lot of space for people to grow. I was even involved in looking into doing gardens for a middle school or elementary schools. And that would be, you could actually extend that to the community as well. But because different school districts get money for that from the government if they'd establish like a garden for the kids to learn. Yeah, local agriculture should be kind of a priority for us. And, partly because of all the farmland what's happened to our farmland. We have a lot of problems with it right now. Certain people are owning most of that farmland and they have certain agendas for things they want to do for it,
Right.
And the fact that we have, that this topsoil is not doing so well because, we don't really take care of the soil with like a regenerative farming mindset in mind, Some people are starting to practice it, but to do it for all the farmland is going to take a while, and we should do that. But in the meantime, I think it's very important to do some of these local agriculture type of solutions and stuff,
Yeah.
Here's that down.
Here's the thing, and again, I'm not trying to belabor this point, but there's a lot of single wealthy either corporations or individuals that own a lot of the farmland across this country, right? And some of them are foreign investors. Okay, so if these people get together and go, well, we're not going to grow this anymore, we're going to grow these cash crops instead. I mean, they could control, a large part of our agricultural industry if they start buying up all the farms. If they continue to buy up all the farms, and so you're going to these little small independent farms that aren't going to be very much of them. There's less and less of those, so it's less and less control over what we actually grow as a country too.
So yeah, a lot of the farmland in south of the Phoenix area was for growing corn. It's better to do it locally. If you grow all that corn and you want to put ethanol into the gasoline, you do it as local as you can. That's kind of sustainable agriculture in a certain sense. But we were having a company work on looking into doing, I think it's called sweet sorghum, to make ethanol. And it's kind of like sugarcane. It's the same idea, but it's for sweet sorghum can grow really well in desert areas. You don't need a lot of water and not as much water as corn. So we did have a processing company that was doing that, but that would have been a good solution, to do something like that where you wouldn't have to compete with a lot of farmland. That you could grow it in different areas and stuff.
I mean, corn takes a lot of water, right? I mean, comparative to like sorghum or something, right? So you probably should grow the crops that do well in certain environments and, try to designate certain areas for what would be more efficient at growing. So, all right, so I guess we'll sign off now. We're the Climate Change Brothers, talking about agriculture and energy and and all things about
related to climate change.
related to climate change.